Hello, friends. Welcome to Jesus Freaks. This is Keeping Up the Persecuted and Martyred Church. We're in, as always, we're in this book here, Jesus Freaks book. If you can see it better, there you go. Get that on Amazon if you want. We're getting through it pretty quickly here, so we're almost done. And here we go. This is, always the warning, these are difficult. Some of these are horrifically difficult. So if you're real sensitive to really tragic, horrible, terrible things, because there is some horrible, terrible things happening to our brothers and sisters around the world. So if that's a hard thing for you, then don't listen to this podcast. I do spoken word. We do Village Idiots for Christ. So we got 2 other podcasts going out. So I always like to just be kind to people. So this is Note Our Faces Well. This is Perpetua, Satyrus, Felicitas, and 3 others in Carthage, North Africa. This is AD 202, so this is like 1900 years ago. 6 Christians climbed up on the judgment platform. Below them, a vast crowd had gathered in the marketplace to watch their trial. One by one, the others were questioned and confessed their faith. As soon as it was Perpetua's turn, she saw her aged father holding her infant child in his arms. "Have pity on your baby," he begged. The judge took up her father's cause. "Spare your father's white hairs. Spare the tender years of your child. Offer a sacrifice for the welfare of the emperor." Perpetua answered, "I will not sacrifice." "And are you a Christian?" the judge demanded. "I am a Christian," was her answer. The judge passed sentence. Perpetua and her fellow Christians were all to be condemned to be killed by wild beasts as a show for the crowd on Caesar's birthday. 5 of the 6 were new converts. The other, Satyrus, was one who had first told them about Jesus. Satyrus had not been there when the others were arrested, but when he heard about it, he turned himself in and joined them in prison. So 5 new converts who Satyrus converted, and then he wasn't arrested with them, but he turned himself in to be with them. That's pretty brave. I like that. During their stay in prison, they continually told others about their faith. The day before the games, as the prisoners had their last meal, a crowd gathered. The believers spoke to the crowd with their usual courage, warning them of God's judgment, calling to witness their happiness at giving their lives. Satyrus said, "Note our faces well, that you may recognize us on the day of judgment." The pagans left the prison, surprised at their peace and joy in the face of death. Later, many became believers themselves. So their witness, and note our faces well. I like that. Note our face well, that you may recognize us on the day of judgment. Man, people are going to remember us. People are going to remember you when you shared your faith and they refused you. One day they're going to have to, the replay, and if they go to their death not knowing Christ and you shared your faith with them, one day they're going to have to give an account, and God's going to say, "Hey, Bob there, he shared his faith with you. Here's the video." And those people better have noted your face well, because they're going to see it again on the day of judgment. On the day before she was to die, Perpetua had a vision from God. When she awoke, she perceived from her vision that she would not be fighting with wild beasts, but with the devil. However, she was assured the victory, an eternal one, was hers. That night, Satyrus also had a vision in which he and the others were brought into the presence of the other martyrs. He awoke with joy in his heart. Man, isn't God good? The grace of God can get you through anything. And these people are about to be fed to lions or whatever wild beast they turn them over to. Probably lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. And yet God gave Perpetua a vision that she was fighting with the devil and she would have an eternal victory. And God gave Satyrus a vision that he would be brought into the presence of the other. To be numbered among the martyrs. There's no greater victory. And one of my prayers is, if we're all wrong about the rapture and we're going to go through the tribulation, then I want to be one of those people that gives up his head not to receive the mark of the beast or worship his image. I want to be one of those guys with the first resurrection. You know, if again, I fully believe in the rapture and all that, but I tell God, if there's no rapture and we're going through the tribulation, I want to be one of those people that refuses the mark of the beast and refuses to worship him or his image. And then to be part of that group, it is an honor, it is a calling, it is a gift from God to be a martyr. Don't ever forget that. James and John, in Book of Acts, James and John walked out of the Sanhedrin after being beaten for Jesus, rejoicing that they've been counted worthy to suffer for his name. You have to be counted worthy to suffer for Christ. It's a calling from God. The day of their victory dawned, and the martyrs went from the prison to the amphitheater as if they were on their way to heaven. Their faces were radiant. Perpetua followed at a gentle pace as a great lady of Christ. Wow. The power of her gaze forced the spectators to lower their eyes. She sang a hymn of triumph. Wow. This is getting good here. Amen. At the beginning of the show, 2 of the men were attacked by a leopard and then mauled by a bear. A wild boar was then let loose on Satyrus, but the boar turned on the one who had unleashed him, goring him in the stomach. Satyrus was only dragged on the sand. Then he was tied up on the bridge in the front of the bear, but the bear refused to come out of his den. Oh my God, I love this. I'm going to reread this in a second. For the second time, Satyrus was left unhurt. Listen to this. At the beginning of the show, 2 of the men were attacked by a leopard and then mauled by a bear. A wild boar was then let loose on Satyrus, but the boar turned on the one who had unleashed him, goring him in the stomach. Satyrus was only dragged on the sand. Then he was tied up on the bridge in front of a bear, but the bear refused to come out of his den. So for the second time, Satyrus was left unhurt. Perpetua and a young woman named Felicitas were put in the arena with a bull. Felicitas fell, seriously wounded. Perpetua was tossed in the air, and her robe was torn. As soon as she got up, she ran to Felicitas and gently raised her from the ground. When the bull refused to attack them again, they were removed from the arena. The show was almost over. Satyrus was put in the arena one last time. The leopard was let loose, and with one bite, Satyrus was mortally wounded. So he probably bit him in the neck or something like this. Finally, those who were still alive were brought back to be killed by gladiators. See, the animals won't kill you, so we'll get human animals, gladiators, to kill you. First, they gave one another a kiss of peace. Then all remained still and received the sword in silence. Let me read this again. Excuse me. Finally, those who were still alive were brought back in to be killed by gladiators. First, they gave one another the kiss of peace. Then all remained still and received the sword in silence. Perpetua was assigned a young, untried gladiator who was not used to such scenes of violence. He stabbed her weakly several times between the ribs, but did not kill her, so Perpetua guided his wavering hand to her throat. She had to help the untrained gladiator to kill her. She had to help him. And she was kind enough to do it, because she knew where she was headed. Perpetua had it all: noble birth, wealth, a fine family, education, intelligence, youth, and beauty. But none of these things, not even her love for her baby, compared to her love for Jesus. Obeying his will for her life was her first priority. She was a Jesus freak. She wrote these final words to her family. Do not be ashamed by my death. I think it is the greatest honor of my life, and thank God for calling me to give my life for his sake and for his cause. He gave the same honor to the holy prophets, his dearly beloved apostles, and his blessed chosen martyrs. I have no doubt that I am dying for God's cause and for the cause of truth. And then Felicitas said this: now I suffer what I suffer, but then another will be in me who will suffer for me, because I too will be suffering for him. Felicitas, martyred in Carthage, North Africa, AD 202. Now I suffer what I suffer, but then another will be in me who will suffer for me, because I too will be suffering for him. Fear not. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You have nothing to fear. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was right at the beginning of World War II. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Don't be afraid. Satan doesn't have the last word. God does. Don't be afraid. Love you.